I'll be starting momentarily. Okay, how's it going there? Yet again, we are doing a live stream, which is for editing tomorrow's episode. Now, I've already pre-done some of this work. What I've basically done, and if you're looking on the screen right now, is most of it plays in a voiceover. And the reason why is because this is an episode about harmonics and overtones for the human voice. So it's going to be one of those that's kind of, hopefully, it's going to be kind of fun. And you'll be able to see some visual examples of what I'm talking about with regards to overtones and harmonics and stuff like that. Are you able to see right now? I don't know. I have a monitor here, but it doesn't show me as actually streaming right now for some reason. Yeah. Oh, hey, hey, Andrew. How's it going? Can you see me right now on the screen? I'm trying to look on my monitor here, but it's not giving me any kind of indicator. It looks like it's still frozen on the live screen. Nothing on the screen except for the live card. Okay. That's supposed to be something different. There we go. Well, that's it. Okay. So now it's live. Okay. First things first, we're going to pick out the thumbnail for the episode. You get to see the fun that is me trying to figure out exactly how I want to do the thumbnail. This is always like me fiddling around and trying to figure out what to do and how to do it, and saying, okay, let's figure this thing out. What am I going to say? What am I going to do? I always look like a complete doofus at this point. Not that I don't normally also. Wait a minute. Hold on a second now. That might have been our winner. So I could digitally flip this. Yeah, I might digitally flip that and pull it back. Okay, so that's what I'll do. I'll just do that right there. Hey, how's it going, man? I think I saw you in one of the forums earlier today. The boom operator one. I think you were making some comments in there. It's going just fine. Just trying to edit tomorrow's episode, that's all. I'll go ahead and save that as a snapshot just to have it in case. I don't know why this thing defaults to 4. It's kind of annoying. Good. Good. I feel like I know visually what I want it to look like. See, I'm trying to think, how do I do this? Oh, let's wipe my eyes. I'm trying to think about what to do and how to do it. Not the most entertaining thing to do, but this is usually my first step. So like, okay, maybe since it has to do with harmonics and overtones, maybe I should play with the headphones. No, let's not do that. How about, no. See, I'm like grasping at straws here because there's nothing for me to play with, not like a microphone that I'm reviewing or something. Wait a minute. Oh yeah, maybe. Yeah, because I can have it go there and zap through. That might work too. Okay, between those two, oh wait a second, garbage. I'm so used to saying garbage because I have kids. Preview quality needs to be HD. Okay, that way I can save. Okay. I'm gonna go back and get that other one too, just to make sure I have it. Hey Herbert, how's it going? You're watching me pick out my thumbnail for tomorrow's video. You're watching me wipe my eyes. Straighten out everything, get the right appearance. See, I'm gonna have a waveform. I could probably design this thing. Normally get it rendering. Okay, pull it back in. Pull it back in, not so long. There you go. Oh, wait a minute. Go back. Yeah, that's it. That's our winner. Hey, thanks, man. I appreciate it. I always try. There's a lot of videos I want to make. And it's always one of those fun challenges of what to do to make people entertained. The S Mic 2 from Deity. You know, I'll be honest with you. I know what Aperture Deity, well, Deity now. I know that they make cheaper shotguns that are pretty decent. I'm not a fan of them though. I'm not in this video. But yeah, basically with regards to THD, okay, I can do a video about it sometime. Let me make a quick note about it. But here's the basic gist about THD and what you really need to know about it. If I was just making a quick note, so that way I'll do a video about it sometime. If I do, here's the short of it. Okay, THD is basically, you know what it stands for, total harmonic distortion. And if a microphone like this one, for example, that I'm talking into, if it's too loud, it will start distorting at a certain, basically at a certain level. And so let's say that on this mic, it's 100 dB, which is very low actually for this mic. This mic is closer to 130 something, but we're just going to use as a reference that. It would have a stat, 1% THD at 100 decibels. And the reason why is because it's basically going to distort at 1%. Now, every time you go up 10 dB, it's going to basically triple that amount. So it'll go up to 3 dB by 110. I'm sorry, 3% at 110 dB. And at 120 dB, it would go up to 9%. And so it'll start distorting more and more and more. And I know what you're thinking. It's that's okay. So that's a that's something that I mean, and normally that's what you would rely on, because if you start to get louder and louder and louder, and you know how logarithmic it is, it would actually start to Mr. Red, how's it going? But that's basically what THD is. You actually hear 1% distortion. You hear 3% distortion because it's enough to make it audible for you, and that's enough to actually drive someone crazy. If you get one that has a distortion too low, then it will actually be something that you can hear. So I know I'm distracted here, but in short, that's what it is the decibel level that you have 1% distortion. And every time you go up 10 more dB, it basically triples the amount of distortion. And the higher... No. Decibels are logarithmic. Decibels are logarithmic. So the louder you go decibel-wise, you know how it is. Like, you'll have negative, let's say negative 50 dB is this volume. Negative 40 dB is this volume. Negative 30 dB is this volume. Negative 20 dB is this volume. Negative 10 dB is this volume. 0 dB is here. 10 dB would be way up here. So it grows on you as it gets louder and louder and louder. So that's what I mean by it's logarithmic. But yeah, I can do a video about that. It'd probably be easier for me to explain it than right now. I'm so distracted by what I'm doing here. Mr. Red, great to see you here. Just so you know, Mr. Red is he's one of my friends. He and I did a collaboration back in, I think it was October, and we upgraded his sound system. So here is tonight's video. You can tell I've already recorded some of it. I'm going to go ahead and go out and show you the entire thing. There, it starts with an intro. Then it goes to an outro here, and in the middle, there's a whole bunch of blah, 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 and that's been pre-edited. So it's all playing as a voiceover. And so what we're going to be doing tonight is we're going to be grabbing pictures and pulling them and plugging them in to basically fill in the episode. You're not going to see me blabbing away for, what is this, 9 minutes, 8 minutes. So it basically starts. So for 7.5 minutes, you're not going to see me blabbing, but yeah, there is, and Mr. Red's not kidding. It takes me a long time to edit and if just so you know, there's a video that you can find. And I'll show it to you real quick. Man, that would have been bad. I'm thinking Red, Mr. Red, and then of course the first thing that goes to my mind is YouTube. So combining the two, Red, and that would not be good. So if you do a search for sound speeds, and then you see outtakes, the look of sound speeds with outtakes. That's a fun video. I'll go ahead and copy that address and I'll plug it in there. So that way you can check it out. If you have not watched it, it's basically about a third of the outtakes that I have. Wait a minute. Four years ago. XX sound speed XX. What is that supposed to mean? It just suddenly hits me. This is not my outtakes. What is this little unicorn? My Little Pony is taking over my channel? That's pretty crazy. Okay. Yeah. So there you go. That's you get to see me fiddle, error my way through the whole thing. And also, I'm going to apologize if you've watched a couple of my recent videos on one of them was this one. Where is the thing? IGTV. That one I shot in a different aspect ratio in order to digitally flip it back and forth and stuff like that. Link it over to me, but I already did. This one right here, Mr. Ed. It's up above. Yeah. Okay, I'm getting distracted here. All right, let's go ahead and listen to what we have so far kind of pieced together, and then we'll start actually putting this thing together so that way I'm not here all night. Oh, got it. Thanks for considering a video on the matter. I'm trying to assess the best price versus performance audio interface. Want a Babyface Pro. I'm not familiar with that one, but on Scarlett Solo budget. Got it. Well, let's go quickly to Amazon and let's look at the Babyface. If it's there, Babyface Pro. Ah, got it. Good God, that can't be the one you're interested in if you're talking about being on a budget. $740 is not a budget interface. Oh, okay. Now I'm finally reading it. You want a Babyface Pro, but on a Scarlett Solo budget. Scarlett Solo. Ah. Yeah, I'm totally great at reading. Back in school, I was the kid that was like, can I like read a third of the page and get the idea and then skip to the next third of a page? And so I would know enough of what was going on, but it was terrible. Not the best student indeed. Okay. I'll be honest with you, for $100, I can't think of an interface. I can't think of an interface that I would say was better than the Scarlett Solo for the price. $100 is not. Yeah, Scarlett 2i4 is great. That's what we ended up. That was what we got a deal on for Mr. Red in the collaboration that we did, and that's what he uses, and it works great. Audient. Now, I'll tell you, I know somebody who recently got an Audient, and as nice as they are, their customer service is not great. And if you have any issues, it can be almost 2 months before something. Yeah, that's it. Audient, they do make good stuff. Don't get me wrong, but it can be a bit annoying to deal with them customer service wise if they have a glitch or if they have an issue with it. One of my friends recently had some issues getting something serviced. Took him like 2 months to actually get something squared away. Let's get into this. Let's listen. Sound speeds, and thanks to sound waves, we're able to hear the world around us, and boy, are there a lot of sounds to hear. Not only the sounds themselves giving us something to listen to, but they create additional sounds for us to listen to through harmonics and overtones. Frequencies your vocal box is not even able to produce are relied on in order to communicate through human speech. Real quick, the reason why there's a delay on it is because of all these graphics that I put down there, and because I'm live streaming, I'm actually pulling... I'm doing some graphic stuff in the background too, and I've already applied filters and stuff like that to this, so that way it's looking more like it's going to, and that's the reason why is this program gets a little glitchy if you do any kind of color correction stuff. It's not just this computer or me. Confused yet? Your vocal box is not even able to produce are relied on in order to communicate through human speech. Confused yet? Well, why don't we start at the beginning, the human voice. It's because of our vocal cords. Yeah. Beginning, the human voice. Can you tell that I did a complete voiceover for this? And I go into that. So I start talking about vocal cords. So the first thing we should do is do a search for vocal cords. that looks pretty. Those are the vocal folds. Okay. This so does not look appropriate. Throat. Let's do a search for throat. Throat. Diagram. Yeah, dude. I'm like, that looked bad. And unfortunately, I'm probably going to have to go back there again. Vocal folds. You're telling me you didn't go there too, Andrew? Yeah, we know Mr. Red lives there.
It's because of our vocal cords, or rather vocal folds, that we're able to speak to one another.
Okay. Let's see. What do we want to do? Let me see what I have here. Vocal folds. No, but thanks for the plug on that one, by the way. Yeah. Oh, I do say that right here.
It's because of our vocal cords, or rather vocal folds, that we're able to speak to one another.
Yeah, people know vocal cords, which is the reason why I said that. But yeah, it's vocal folds is technically what it actually is. Metal singing techniques. Hi, Brian. Welcome. Yes, it is me, Eldest. How's it going, man? All right. I hate to do it, but none of these are making me happy, so I'm going to have to do a search for vocal folds. And unfortunately, it's going to look wrong here for a couple of seconds. Let's do a search for large photos. Man. I did like the dead cats. What did they what were they made of? That was the big question I had, is what they were made of. I didn't go back and look at the I didn't go back and look at it. Well, that's kind of a cool photo. Kind of get into that. No, that's cool. She's actually talking into a mic there. See that? I kind of get into this a little bit. That's kind of a cool photo. I might go ahead and save that one. Okay, so stealing photos. We'll go ahead and pull this. Now, the reason I'm not overlaying it over there is because anything that's on this line is going to be, yeah. You got to be careful with fake fur. If some fake fur is different than other fake fur, you have to make sure that it's not one of the scratchier kinds, because if it's scratchier, it can actually make it have more noise to it. So hopefully it's a pretty soft fur. Another thing about it is they can be inconsistent in their manufacturing process. If it's too synthetic, then it's going to potentially make noise. One of the very best fake furs there is something by a company called Bubblebee. Oops. Bubblebee piece of fur. I love these things. The piece of fur right here is actually a piece of their fur that they use when they manufacture their they make a whole bunch of windscreens and stuff like that. Like, for example, I'll go over here to their product line. You see their spacer bubbles or insert bubbles, this kind of thing. These go over microphones, and then like anything that you would use if you use a shotgun microphone or something like that. They have different sizes of them. And then you can, or you could buy the full thing if you want to. But then they also sell the fur that goes around it. So that way, if you need more wind protection, you can either have this, or you can have it with the fur on the outside. But they had such great responses to people liking their fur. You can make really awesome wind protection directly out of it. However, the big kicker on this, the piece of furs, are that it's like, what is it, $40, something like that? But you can use them if you have an expendables budget or something like that. They really are awesome. I have a whole bunch of different colors right here I could show you if you're interested, but this is them right there. And how you doing there, Linthicums? I always say Linthicums, but in my mind, but I know it's wrong. This are softer than a cat and cloth bagged. Plus I had to film. Okay, so if it's cloth bagged, just make sure it's acoustically transparent. The way to tell if something's acoustically transparent or not is if you can hold it up to your mouth and blow through it. If you can blow through it and feel it on your hand at all from about an inch or so away, you know that it's probably fairly acoustic transparent. And technically, acoustic transparent is a myth. It's a lie. And the reason why I say that is because it's any wind protection you put on there starts to tweak the highs a little bit. It starts to cover up the high pitch sounds because those are directional, you know. And so it starts to muffle the highs just a little bit. And you know what? Using what you have around the house is fine. But yeah, look at that. $40. It says free shipping on orders, $150 or more. But you know, if you're going to get something here from America, there are vendors, sound vendors. And if you do this, do a search there, you can get it from B&H. Personally, I don't. I'd prefer True Audio or Gotham Sound because they're my local vendors. I could just go right there and pick up one. But like, for example, we'll look at it at True Audio. They're going to also sell it for the $40, but you're not going to have... Oh, look at this. They have a picture of a piece of fur being used on with some of the Rycote advanced stickers, advanced product stickers. So, but these are really awesome things. And if you ever... Now, what makes piece of fur so awesome is not only is it really soft, it's quiet, but you can cut it. And when you cut it, it doesn't fray. So you can cut it exactly the size you want and how you want it. The last movie I just did, I made some of them, some wind protection for the sound mixer when we had a person in a car that was talking, and he used he didn't have the heavy duty wind protection for the microphones we were going to be using. So I said, well, I'm going to make them out of my piece of fur. I should have actually expensed it. I'll charge him for it sometime. Actually, that's Michael Wynn, who has the Michael Wynn YouTube channel. I'm gonna get myself totally sidetracked here. So what we're gonna do here is fade out of this. Actually, I don't need to fade out of that. I'm gonna be fading in from this. So my typical fade, if I'm fading from one thing to another, is 20 frames. But in this case, I'm going to just fade it in like that. And I am going to actually fade to black up here. So I'm going to do color board. The reason I'm doing that is because I don't want this I don't want this picture to start to creep up here. So if I'm going to mute that for a second.
Human voice. It's because of our vocal. Human voice. It's because of our vocal.
Okay, might just see how that works if I bring that back up.
Voice. It's because of our vocal cords, or rather vocal folds, that we're.
I may actually start close. Okay, another thing is every time I go in and out of a transition here, by the way, I'm working with somebody right now, a graphic designer who reached out to me, who gave me some really awesome ideas on how to change up some branding on the site, like how to change up my logo and stuff and make it a little more appealing, I guess you could say. Because right now it's kind of difficult to see some of it. Like if you look over here, that's kind of difficult, but he's given me some really awesome ideas, and I've responded to him via email, and we'll see what he responds to me for. But we'll be doing some graphics changes here. Okay, that doesn't work because I need to do the burning effect and extend it to there. Okay, so let's try that.
Well, why don't we start at the beginning? The human voice. It's because of our vocal cords.
That works. It's kind of a little bit of a fade in a little bit at the same time. That's kind of cool, actually. I kind of like that. I might omit that, actually, now that I think about it. Why is it so laggy?
The human voice. It's because of our vocal cords, or.
So what we'll do is we'll start with having it up there for about a second and a half, and then I'm going to slowly start zooming in on it. Oops, not opacity right there. Okay. Well, if anybody has any questions, feel free to ask. I am here.
The human voice.
You know how much I love to get
sidetracked. It's because of our vocal cords,
or
rather vocal folds, that we're able to speak to one another. Here's a very simplified explanation of what's going on. Located inside the.
Okay. So right there, and then what I'll do is I'm going to start to zoom in a little bit. Zoom in to about right there. Can I sharpen this? I don't care that much. I think it's going to be fine for a quick.
The human voice. It's because of our vocal cords, or rather vocal folds, that we're able to speak to one another. Here's a very simplified explanation of what's going on.
Okay, so next piece. Actually, why don't we do what we're supposed to do and listen to it first.
Located inside the neck is something called the larynx, commonly referred to as the voice box, and this is where the vocal folds can be found. The three main functions.
Okay, do I have a shot here of the neck? No, I don't. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pull it. What is it called? Human neck. Man, that's loud, isn't it? Sorry, guys. Whenever I type, it's like insanely loud. Oh, look at all those pictures of surgery. Dude, is that an ear? Framework of head and neck. Yeah, lightning is no fun. It can be damaging. The general rule that we have in the film industry is if a lightning strike is within 6 miles of our set, we're supposed to shut down generators. I don't like that one. I want to get one that shows vocal folds, vocal cords. What is this one? We'll run with this one. That looks all right. Okay, save images. Sure, whatever that blob is. The long one.
Located inside the neck is something called the larynx, commonly referred to as the voice box, and this is where the vocal folds can be found.
We'll do the same kind of transition. Actually, I'm going to start it inside of a zoom, and I'm going to end it the what? That green blob is that P. Let's say what it is. A 1-year-old. I don't know what that's supposed to mean, Mr. Ed. Over my head, dude.
Of what's going on. Located inside the neck is something called the larynx, commonly referred to as the voice box, and this is where the vocal folds can be found.
Okay, that's going to be our cut point.
The three main functions of the larynx are to properly route food to the stomach, breathing, and speaking. Note that these processes are more automatic. You don't have to think about them to make them happen.
Yes, boss, I will. Okay.
Something called the larynx, commonly referred to as the voice box, and this is where the vocal folds can be found.
Let me see if I can find a nice video on YouTube. Hey, what do you know? I'm live. Human neck swallowing. Then whatever I'll do is I'll grab whatever the thing is. This is the script I followed. Yes, I did follow a script. So I have, for more info, and YouTube videos referenced. So if I find a good one, stages of swallowing process.
Swallowing occurs in 2 stages, the oropharyngeal and esophageal stages.
Dude, just swallow the
food
thing.
Entry into respiratory passageways. The uvula contracts, which blocks the nasal passages from the pharynx. The laryngeotis
Blah, blah,
swings
blah, blah,
down.
blah.
Upper esophageal, the oropharyngeal
Blah, blah, blah,
stage
blah,
is
blah.
done and breathing resumes. Pharyngeal contractions drive the bolus into the esophagus. The oropharyngeal stage is done and breathing resuming the vocal folds. The epiglottis swings down upon the closed glottis. With all airways blocked off, respiration is temporarily inhibited. As the upper esophageal sphincter relaxes, pharyngeal contractions drive the bolus into the esophagus. The oropharyngeal stage is done and breathing resumes. During the esophageal stage,
Nope.
and imprecise the fair. The voluntary of cerebral bolus, the blocks late the larynx, esophageal.
Okay. Gonna go for broke here. We're not gonna use the sound. Okay. We're not gonna use the sound. That is terrible. Yeah. What are you listening to? It's somebody being funny. That's what we're listening to. So, oh, Dervish. Hey, how's it going, man? Been a couple of weeks. Good to see you. Thanks for joining tonight. That's cool to see you in here, man. Thanks for popping by. If you're not familiar with Dervish, he's a YouTuber also. He hasn't done a whole lot of streaming the past couple of years, but he's about to get back into it. And Mr. Red was recently in town, and we all met up and ate way more than we should have. And he was telling us a little bit about some of the gear he's going to be using and some of the things he's going to be doing. So if you like gaming and stuff like that, check out his channel in addition to Mr. Red's channel, because they're both both do streams. So if you like gaming, check them out. Okay, let us. Now, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to yank that sound straight out of there, because that is garbage. I'm not going to listen to that garbage. Okay.
To properly route food to the stomach, breathing, and speaking. Note that these processes are more automatic as the voice box, and this is where the vocal folds can be found. The three main functions of the larynx are to properly route food to the stomach, breathing, and speaking.
Okay. I probably will use this, in which case I'll do this and give credit where credit's due. Over here.
Note that these when breathed, two vocals give momentarily half an inch long to an inch long, and elasticity and tension of the vocal.
Okay. So. That crystal was good, man. It was. I mean, well, as good as crystal can possibly be. It was pretty good. It was a lot of fun. More than anything, I wish we would have had more time. Dervis is actually a character. He's got a lot of cool stories, man. A lot of cool stuff. Pretty cool dude. Okay, so
The larynx are to properly route food to the stomach, breathing, and speaking. Note that these processes.
Okay, so I actually need to go down a little bit with it.
The three main functions of the larynx are. The three main functions of the larynx are to properly route food to the stomach, breathing, and speaking. Note that these processes are more automatic. You don't have to think about them to make them happen. That's because they're regulated by...
Not trying to think what do I want to do here. You're right, Mr. Red. You're right. YouTube has fun with things like that, don't they? So I'll restore it back to normal, I guess.
The three main functions of the larynx are to box, and this is where the vocal folds can be found. The three main functions of the larynx are to
Actually, I'm going to shorten this just a little bit.
And this is where the vocal folds can be found. The three main functions of the larynx are to properly route food to the stomach, breathing, and speaking. Note that these processes are more automatic. You don't have to think about them to make them happen. That's because they're regulated by the autonomic nervous system. When swallowing, a little flap called the epiglottis closes, preventing food and drink from entering the trachea, windpipe, while the esophagus, food pipe, processes are more automatic. You don't have to think about them to make them happen. That's because they're regulated.
Crash Course. Now, they make a good video, but it starts with this dude talking. Let's try... No, this is a drawing one. Where's one with animation? Give me some animation. What I got to do is I got to get to probably this point in the video. So I got to... Or somewhere around there is when we start to get interesting and actually into sound. Let's zap around here.
Done.
Oh my gosh, like 47 minutes.
5 more class periods together.
Blah, blah, blah. Okay, let's go to Crash Course. If you have almost 8 million subscribers, you're doing something right. Why? This is a video about overtones and harmonics and stuff, but it starts... Since it's about the human voice, we're basically doing this video to kind of. I'm starting back at the beginning. I'm starting at the actual beginning, which is the human voice. I know some of this stuff. There's 2 different types of nervous system. There's there's the nervous system you can control, and there's the one that you can't control. Man. Just zap over here. Okay, we're gonna go to Google. I'm not happy with that selection. It'll make sense where I'm going eventually. Sure, we'll use that. It's just filler content. I think that's the one we just saved. I'm going to go ahead and try it again. No. Okay. Sorry, I know this is not the most interesting thing in the world. I'm going to get past it, I promise.
Note that these processes are more automatic. You don't have to think about them to make them happen. That's because they're regulated by the autonomic nervous system. When swallowing, a little flap called the epiglottis closes, preventing food and drink from entering the trachea, windpipe, while the esophagus, food pipe.
Back to YouTube. Gonna try to find us a nice video of human swallowing. Hey, there you go. This one may be what we I've seen this video before. You ever got stuck in a YouTube loop where you just can't stop watching YouTube videos all night? Pretty fascinating stuff, man. The neck. Okay. Remove that one. Paste link. I'll leave this open this time. That way I don't have to do that again. Editing.
That's because they're regulated by the autonomic nervous system. When swallowing...
Okay. Okay. So that'll be it, probably.
Note that these processes are more automatic. You don't have to think about them to make them happen. That's because they're regulated by the autonomic nervous system. When swallowing, a little flap called the epiglottis closes, preventing...
Oops, wait a minute. Can also reference. Oops, don't copy all that stuff. Hey, this one looks like fun. Oh yeah, look at this animation. Oh, that's sexy. I like this one to think better than the X-ray. I don't know. Whoa, look at that. Hey, that's perfect. This one right here, we have a winner. I almost said Houston, we have a winner. Yeah, it's going to be there real quick. I'm going to actually shorten it. It's a process. But yeah, I'll shorten it. Oh, it's because it's still downloading, isn't it? Now it's done. Okay. Take care, Andrew. Thanks for popping in.
You don't have to think about them to make them happen. That's because they're regulated by the autonomic nervous system. When swallowing a little...
See, that's where it's going to cut out right there. I'm going to shorten all of that.
That's because they're regulated by the autonomic nervous system. When swallowing a little flap...
Booyah. Little flap. Get rid of that sound.
When swallowing, a little flap called the epiglottis closes, preventing food and drink from entering the trachea, windpipe, while the esophagus, food pipe, opens and routes food and drink. Them to make them happen. That's because they're regulated by the autonomic nervous system. When swallowing, a little flap called the epiglottis closes, preventing food and drink from entering the trachea, windpipe, while the esophagus, food pipe, opens and routes food and drink to the stomach. When breathing, the epiglottis doesn't have to do anything for you to breathe normally, but when you want to speak, the two vocal folds close, restricting the airflow. Air builds up and eventually overpowers the vocal folds, which give momentarily so air passes through. In adult females, the pipe, while the esophagus, food pipe, opens and routes food and drink to the stomach. When breathing, the epiglottis doesn't have to do anything for you to breathe normally, but when you want to speak, the two vocal folds close, restricting...
I may take you up on that, Dervish. I really may. I have one video coming up that I have a product review for a company out of Germany. I was actually going to be shooting it this last week with Mr. Red, at the house, but because he brought over all of his cameras and stuff. But should I tell him, Mr. Red?
Breathing, the epiglottis doesn't have to do trachea, windpipe, while the esophagus, food pipe, opens and routes food and drink to the stomach. When breathing, the epiglottis...
He's not there right now, or he's typing. There we go. Dude, I don't know who you are, but I'm sure this video is going to be awesome. I'm going to go ahead and copy that link, plug it in. Well, that was brilliant. Yeah, I can tell I copied all the wrong stuff. You love copy paste. Okay. Are you downloading yet? Okay, normal quality. Geez, that's low quality. Yikes. Well, it is what it is. Man, that looks so painful. All right, I'm going to go to Let me listen to this real quick.
Nervous system. When swallowing, a little flap called the epiglottis closes, preventing food and drink from entering the trachea, windpipe, while the esophagus, food pipe, opens and routes food and drink to the stomach. When breathing, the epiglottis doesn't have to do anything for you to breathe normally. Pipe, while the esophagus, food to the stomach. When breathing, esophagus, food pipe, opens and routes food and drink to the stomach. When breathing, windpipe, while the esophagus, food pipe, opens and routes food and drink to the stomach. When breathing, the epiglottis doesn't have to do anything for you to breathe normally, but when you want to speak, the two vocal
No, this is not right.
preventing food and drink from entering the trachea, windpipe, while the esophagus, food pipe, opens and routes food and drink to the stomach. When breathing, the epiglottis doesn't have to do anything for you. Food pipe opens and routes food and drink to the stomach. Pipe, while the esophagus, food pipe, opens and routes food and drink to the stomach. When breathing, the epiglottis doesn't have to do anything for you to.
This one's called epiglottis function. I'm going to watch that video real quick. See if I can find any more clips in there that are gold. Shows the epiglottis. Showing the swallowing again. Oh, there you go. Oh, I see. So what I'm doing right now is I'm removing the audio, and I'm going to go in here and I'm going to trim this clip back a little bit. There's a second video. There's a second piece over here that I wanted to grab, which shows the food going by at a slightly different angle. And overlay it, and let's see what this.
And routes food and drink to the stomach. When breathing, the epiglottis doesn't have to do anything for you to breathe normally, but when you want to speak, the two vocal folds close, restricting the airflow. Air builds up and eventually closes, preventing food and drink from entering the trachea, windpipe, while the esophagus, food pipe, opens and routes food and drink from entering the trachea, windpipe, while the esophagus, food.
Right there. Cut from there.
Swallowing, a little flap called the epiglottis closes, preventing food and drink from entering the trachea, windpipe, while the esophagus, food pipe, opens and routes food and drink to the stomach. When breathing, the epiglottis doesn't have to do anything for you to breathe normally, but when you want to speak, the two vocal folds close. But when you want to speak, the two vocal.
Okay, and this should be where I can do that other video, which was called yeah, this is it. Remove the audio. Oh man, I'm just trying to get to that point. Get out of this, man. Woo. Man, that thing was spazzing out. Right there. There's our winner.
When breathing, the epiglottis doesn't have to do anything for you to breathe normally, but when you want to speak, the two vocal folds close, restricting the airflow. Air builds up and eventually overpowers the vocal folds, which give momentarily so air passes through. In adult females, the vocal folds are about 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch long, and in adult males, they're about 3/4 of an inch long to an inch long. They're also thicker on males, and the combination of being longer and thicker means that the vocal folds don't give as often. The elasticity and tension of the vocal folds also play a part in it, and in children, the vocal folds are smaller, thinner, and more elastic, so air pushes through much more often than in adults.
I actually think it's kind of cool to just stay on that thing. Let me get some opinions here. I mean, you see
When
the
you wanna
vocal
speak,
folds.
the two vocal folds close, restricting the airflow. Air builds up and eventually overpowers the vocal
You're
folds,
seeing
which give
what it is
momentarily
while I'm
so
talking
air
about
passes
it.
through. In
I
adult
think he's-
females, the vocal folds are about 1/2 inch to 3/4 of an inch long, and in adult males, they're about 3/4
It's
of an
kinda
inch
cool,
long
in
to an
my
inch
opinion.
long.
It
They're
kinda goes
also
along with what I'm
thicker on
saying, too.
males, and the combination of being longer and thicker means that the vocal folds don't give as often. The elasticity and tension of the vocal folds also play a part in it, and in children, the vocal folds are smaller, thinner, and more elastic, so air pushes through much more often than in adults. These are vocal folds we're talking about, so you may be asking, where's the sound? Every time the air overwhelms and forces its way through the vocal folds, a sound is produced, and if this happens 100 times a second, a 100 hertz tone is produced. If this happens 150 times a second, a 150 hertz tone is produced, and so on. The higher the number, the higher the pitch the sound will have. This
You can never unhear that noise, the flap noise. Yeah, it was pretty bad, wasn't it? Yes, and you're welcome. Oh, by the way, I talked to some. I did talk about the movie we talked about watching on Saturday night, but it was shot down mainly because people are not really enjoying watching things in that environment. I know you know what I'm talking about, but so I'm talking a bit in code, but yeah. Okay. It does. But you know what? There's nothing that says you and I can't do it. We could always watch it. Perfect. Oh, I love this. Okay. What in the world was that video called? Did I remove it already? That's garbage. Okay. How the larynx produces sound. Okay, so how the larynx produces sound is right there. Yeah, we don't need them. Saturday night, man. We can watch whatever
And
movie we
in
want.
children, the vocal folds are smaller, thinner, and more elastic, so air pushes through much more often than in adults. These are vocal folds we're talking about, so you may be asking, where's the sound? Every time the air overwhelms and forces its way through the vocal folds, a sound is produced, and if this happens 100 times a second, a 100 hertz tone is produced. If this happens 150 times a second, a 150 hertz
There's a
tone
part
is
where it
produced, and
vibrates.
so on. The higher the number, the higher the pitch the sound will have. This is why the smaller, thinner, and more elastic vocal folds.
There it is. Okay, that is our winner. That's the place right there that I want when it talks
Where's
about.
the sound? Every time the air overwhelms and forces its way through the vocal folds,
Right there. The sound is produced, and that's the sound. So I'll take it from there to there. That way we can overlap it by 1 second. And booyah, watch this.
elastic, so air pushes through much more often than in adults. These are vocal folds we're talking about, so you may be asking, where's the sound? Every time the air overwhelms and forces its way through the vocal folds, a sound is produced, and if this happens 100 times a second, a 100 hertz tone is produced. If this happens 150 times a second, a 150 hertz tone is produced, and so on. The higher the number, the higher the pitch the sound will have. This is why the smaller, thinner, and more elastic vocal folds on children produce higher voices than in adults. That vibration sound is shaped in the vocal tract. Your tongue, teeth, smaller, thinner, and more elastic vocal folds on children produce higher voices than in adults. That vibration sound is shaped.
Okay. Okay. Human talking. Human talking. Shaping sound. Sorry, that sounds like garbage. What in the world is that? That's a nice little... Oh, they're learning how to whistle. How we speak. That could be kind of fun. Nope, not that. George Carlin. Oh yeah, let's throw some George Carlin in there. That's garbage. That movie's not done yet. I know the mixer who did Godzilla. He's in LA currently. He just got through watching a screening of it. He said it's a lot of fun. Talking. Human speech. That's from Braveheart. These videos always annoy me. Markiplier, what in the world are you doing with those? Oh, I hate those things. Say to 7 words. Hey, wait a minute. I thought you were gone. Tell you what to edit? To download to edit on the phone? I don't have time to be an editor. I guess right now in between projects I could be for the right price. You could talk me into it. That you're wanting to actually edit videos on your phone? I don't know apps to do that. What say the 7 words? What do you mean by that? I don't know what you mean, Andrew. Need you to. Oh. Gotcha. Well, it depends on how many cuts there are, man. I mean, you're talking 24 minutes. You want to know what my rate used to be? $1,000 a minute. If I had to shoot it, though, you know, in all honesty, $1,000 was my price in the 90s when I worked for a video production company. I was $1,000 a minute of the completed video. So if it was 24 minutes long, it would have been 24,000. I think that might be a little bit out of your budget, but $20 a video. How many cuts are there? What exactly? I mean, how would you get me the footage and stuff like that? Oh, the 7 non-broadcastable words. Yeah, good fun. I'm not gonna say those. Yeah, like I need to be taking on anything else, right, Robert? Taking on another project. What am I looking for? Humans talking. Do I have another video here? Do I have something waiting? Let me just get an idea of what I'm
Children
looking
produce
for.
higher voices than in adults. That vibration sound is shaped in the vocal tract. Your tongue, teeth, lips, neck even, they all help you shape words out of this vibration tone. Your larynx can only produce a limited range of frequencies, though, and
Hate to put everybody on hold for a second, but I need to. The baby is needing attention, so I will be back momentarily. Sorry for this. Okay, back. Hopefully you can see me again.
produce higher voices than in adults. That vibration sound is shaped in the vocal tract. Your tongue, teeth, lips, neck even,
Got a weather warning on your phone, huh?
They all help you shape words out of this vibration tone. Your
So I'm not the most entertaining live streamer. If you have any questions, by all means ask. Give me something to talk about. I'm pretty, Hey, that may be it. Yeah, that's what we're talking about right there. What's this thing called? Max Res Default. Got it. Okay.
voices than in adults. That vibration sound is shaped in the vocal tract. Your tongue, teeth, lip.
Actually, let me do a search for vocal tract. What's the typical dynamic range of speech? Oh man, I'm coming back to you, eldest. That's a depends right there. It really depends. I mean, humans normally don't get up louder than, I mean, really, probably in the high 90s or 100. Maybe they get up higher than that, but not very often.
Adults. That vibration sound is shaped in the vocal tract. Your tongue, teeth, lips, neck even, they all help you shape words out of this vibration tone. Your larynx can only produce a limited range of frequencies though, and this is because your larynx can only produce a limited
Now to answer your question, eldest, in the rain, you put on rain cover, rain protection, and you just get out there and do it. Sometimes very rarely though, they'll bring out cover over top of the actor and stuff like that. But most of the time they don't do that because you need to have the rain hitting the actors and stuff because you have to see it. If they want to see the rain, they have to backlight it, so that way you see it backlit. If they front light it, you don't see the rain as much. So a lot of movies and TV shows, if they do shoot in the light rain, you're not going to notice it if it's front lit. Yeah, Alt and F4. Yep, that's a funny one,
elastic
right?
vocal folds on children produce higher voices than in adults. That vibration sound is shaped in the vocal tract. Your tongue, teeth, lips, neck even, they all help you shape words out of this vibration tone. Your larynx can only produce.
We have our first troll of the night.
Produce a limited range of frequencies though, and this is because the muscles controlling your vocal folds can only modify their shape and tension so much. In adult male,
Actually, I may go back to that other video. none of it really rings a bell to me, Andrew. None of it really stands out as being bad or anything. If that's a decibel rating, the louder usually means it can go up louder. It's just but usually you don't run into that on headphones. You'll usually run into that on speakers, capable of handling louder at the same power. It's more efficient at producing louder volumes, basically.
You may be asking, where's the sound? Every time the air overwhelms and forces its way through the vocal folds, a sound is produced, and if this happens 100 times a second, vibration sound is shaped in the vocal tract. Your tongue, teeth, lips, neck even, larynx can only produce a limited range of frequencies though, and this is because the muscles controlling your vocal folds can only modify their shape and tension so much. In adult males, the vocal folds typically produce tones between
Yeah, it's headphones are basically just, I mean, they basically output the same kind of volume. It's basically, that's basically all it is. It's more difficult to sorry, I'm getting sidetracked here. Chances are if you look up different headphone manufacturers and different headphones, even some of the higher end ones, you're not going to see the decibel rating that much higher on them. They may be a little bit higher, but as a general rule, I wouldn't really look at that for headphones as long as you have enough power to drive them cleanly, which most interfaces do. Come on, dude. Say something, do something. Let's see the vocal folds vibrating. Come on, go. Ooh. Come on, do something. Hum or something, man. Vocal folds during speech. Look at all the saliva. Come on now. Talk. Focus. There you go. There's our winner. Ah, where'd you go? Man, wasn't very long. That wasn't either. Whew. Oh yeah, that's our winner though. Okay, we have a winner. Yeah, I'm not actually familiar with the Babyface. I've never played with it. But for that price point, you would expect it to be pretty good. Vocal folds during speech. Hey there, Tomato Whale. How's it going? Thanks for popping in here. I'm not the most entertaining live streamer, and I do apologize for that. I'm best if I'm answering questions, and then of course I get myself completely sidetracked off on whatever questions there are.
Out of this vibration tone. Your larynx can only produce a limited range of frequencies, though, and this is because the muscles controlling your vocal folds can only modify their shape and tension so much. In adult males, the vocal folds typically produce tones between 85 and 180 Hz, and in adult females between 160.
Okay, that may come into play with some of this other stuff. No, where is it? No. 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 Oh, yeah. Yeah. Eldest. Keep him, you gotta beat him. If you don't beat him, then there's no point playing him. Just beat him.
Between 85 and 180 Hz, and in adult females between 165 and 255 Hz. The tones produced are known as fundamental frequencies, and a fundamental frequency could be defined as the lowest frequency of a repeating waveform. In adult males, the vocal folds typically produce tones between 85 and 180 Hz, and in adult females between 165.
Okay, that is... What was it? Wikipedia, I think, has it. Oh, maybe that was it. Let's see, vocal folds, vibration, frequency. That's a different source than I found before. Before I found a this is the Voice Clinic. Average about one. Yeah, so those are averages. All right, so what am I saying here?
Vocal folds typically produce tones between 85 and 180 Hz, and in adult females between 165 and 255 Hz.
Yeah.
The tones produced.
Now they can go up higher than that, though. No. See, I would actually show that as a reference. Okay. Oh, that's a cool thing. I'll do that. Oh yeah, well, there you go. There's some of the rebranding talk that I'm having with Dude.
In adult males, the vocal folds typically produce tones between 85 and 180 hertz.
Mr. Ed, you still there, man? I don't know if I lost Mr. Ed. Actually, let me listen. See how long.
Hertz, and in adult females between 165 and 255 hertz. The tones produced are known as fundamental frequencies, and a fundamental frequency could be defined as the lowest frequency of a repeating waveform. This is where things get interesting. Could be defined as the lowest frequencies, and a fundamental frequency could be defined as the lowest frequency of a repeating wave. Tones produced are known as fundamental frequencies, and a fundamental frequency could be defined as the lowest frequency of a repeating waveform. Hertz. The tones produced are known as fundamental frequencies, and a
Okay, that's our winner right there. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is right there is where I'm going to start my tilt down. I'll probably end it actually. Right there at the end. Okay, so now we're talking about, we're almost getting into the exciting part. Because then you're going to see me pull out. Where's my video? Where's my video? That's going to be fun.
In adult males, the vocal folds typically produce tones between 85 and 180 hertz, and in adult females between 165 and 255 hertz. The tones produced are known as fundamental frequencies, and a fundamental frequency could be defined as the lowest frequency of a repeating waveform. This is where things get interesting and confusing. When you listen to human speech, you hear frequencies well outside your fundamental frequency range. This is because the human voice
So sorry, this is not the most entertaining video to produce because it's all about all kinds of random stuff. Yeah, I've seen this before. It's really cool. No. I don't get into that whole aspect of it. Well, good. I'm glad. Yeah, I'm glad this is the kind of thing that you're interested in. I hope that when I get into my actual demonstration stuff, it's going to be more entertaining than this. Right now, it's just trying to get through it. I actually thought about editing this and then coming in and live streaming later for the fun part. Get the whole anatomy part of this out of the way. But then I said, no, I might as well at least start it. See what I can do. Man. Fundamental frequency waveform. Let me listen to where it goes next.
155 Hz. The tones produced are known as fundamental frequencies, and a fundamental frequency could be defined as the lowest frequency of a repeating waveform. This is where things get interesting and confusing. When you listen to human speech, you hear frequencies well outside your fundamental frequency range. This is because the human voice is rich in overtones. When you listen to human speech, you hear frequencies well outside of that fundamental frequency
Wait a minute, did I just repeat that?
range. This is because the human voice is rich in overtones. When you listen to human speech, you hear frequencies well outside of that fundamental frequency range. This is because the human voice is rich in overtones. To explain overtones, let's consider a one where things get interesting and confusing. When you listen to human speech, you hear frequencies well outside your fundamental frequency range. This is because the human voice is rich in overtones. When you listen to human speech, you hear frequencies well outside of that fundamental.
I did repeat it. Oh no, I can't do that. That's hilarious. Man, I botched that up. I was supposed to edit out that take. I was like, wait a minute now.
Form. This is where things get interesting and confusing. When you listen to human speech, you hear frequencies well outside your fundamental frequency range. This is because the human voice is rich in overtones. When you listen to human speech, you hear frequencies well outside of that fundamental frequency range. This is because the human voice is rich in overtones. To explain
Man, I'm glad I caught that.
to explain
That would have totally sucked. Move all clips. Okay. Garbage. Actually, undo. Delete both of those and move all clips.
human speech, you hear frequencies well outside your fundamental frequency range. This is because the human
Yes,
voice
close to the
is
matrix.
rich in overtones. To explain overtones, let's consider a
Good.
100 hertz tone as a fundamental.
Okay, so now
Fundamental
it's,
frequency could be defined as the lowest frequency of a repeating waveform. This is where things get interesting and confusing. When you listen to human speech, used are known as fundamental frequencies, and a fundamental frequency could be defined as the lowest frequency of a repeating waveform. This is where things get interesting and confusing. When you listen to human speech, you hear frequencies well outside your fundamental frequency range. This is because the human voice is rich in overtones. To explain overtones, let's
all right. Fundamental frequency. Need something that shows a low. Oh, I know what to do. I know what to do. I have this, where is it? 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 Is that it? No, but I do need that one. Grab that one. Save image as. Waveform. See, that's electrical. That's three-phase electrical current right there. Totally not what I need to get into in this video. Thanks for popping in, Eldest. Take care. Fundamental frequency waveform. That's close. No, that's Brownian motion. Open with Photoshop. Because I think I need to put that on a white background. Yeah, I do. This is funny. Such a bad way to do it. Oh god, that sucked. That totally sucked. Man, okay. Guys, I totally suck at Photoshop. Sorry. There's a lot of skills that I have, but that's not one of them. I think if when Eldest was still here, I probably could have. If I said Photoshop, he'd still be in here. He would be like, "Nope, we're not going to stream. We're going to do this Photoshop thing instead," because he loves Photoshop. He has a stream where he does some pretty cool Photoshop stuff. He's taught me a couple of things too, which is cool. Okay, close enough. And save. All right, fine. Save as B. All right, forgot what I was talking about now.
Fundamental frequencies, and a fundamental frequency could be defined as the lowest frequency of a repeating waveform. This is where things get interesting and confusing.
You know what? I'm gonna cheat. Oh no, not this. I'm just gonna cheat. We're gonna go here. Somehow I lost my chat window over there. There it is. Have any picture in here I can use for reference? That may just be what we do right there. It's not the most entertaining thing right there, but it's at least serving the purpose I need it to serve. That maybe you want to save also. Okay. Need to get out of that. Here to the editing program. Okay. And then I just need to do this number. Select them all. And undo that one, undo that one. See what it adds. Okay, there's part of it. And where's the other one I just got? No. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? I don't want to say it's overly thrilling, but it kind of serves the purpose I need it to because it is talking about the topic. So let me listen.
Used are known as fundamental frequencies, and a fundamental frequency could be defined as the lowest frequency of a repeating waveform. This is where things get interesting and confusing. When you listen to human speech, you hear frequencies well outside your fundamental frequency range. This is because the human voice is rich in overtones. To explain overtones, let's consider a 100 Hz tone could be defined as the lowest frequency.
I'm going to listen to it a couple times until something stands out.
And a fundamental frequency could be defined as the lowest frequency of a repeating waveform. This is where things get interesting and confusing. When you listen to human speech, you hear frequencies well outside your fundamental frequency range. This is because the human fundamental frequencies, and a fundamental frequency could be defined as the lowest frequency of a repeating waveform. This is where things get interesting and confusing. When you listen to human speech, you hear frequencies well outside your fundamental frequency range. This is because the human voice is rich in overtones. To fundamental frequencies, and a fundamental frequency could be defined as the lowest frequency of a repeating waveform. This is where things get interesting and confusing. When you listen to human speech, you hear frequencies well outside your fundamental frequency range. This is because the human voice is rich in overtones. To explain overtones, let's consider a 100 Hz tone as a fundamental frequency for this example. If you multiply 100 Hz by a whole number like 2, fundamental frequency could be defined as the lowest frequency of a repeating waveform. This is where things get interesting.
Yeah, that's going to work.
And a fundamental frequency could be defined as the lowest frequency of a repeating waveform. This is where things get interesting. Length that many number of times. A 200.
I mean, it's not great, but at least it's a waveform. And it helps us to pass the time and get where we're trying to go quicker. I actually wish I would have committed that part to memory.
Are known as fundamental frequencies, and a fundamental frequency could be defined as the lowest frequency of a repeating waveform. This is where things get interesting and confusing. When you listen to humans speak, When you listen to human speech, you hear frequencies well outside your fundamental frequency range. This is because the human voice this is where things get interesting and confusing. When you listen to human speech, you hear frequencies well outside your fundamental frequency range. This is because the human voice is rich in overtones. To explain
Oh, come on now. Fundamental frequency. See, it's close. Can't show that yet, though, because
vocal folds typically produce tones between 85 and 180 Hz, and in adult females, this is where things get interesting and confusing. When you produce tones between 85 and 180 Hz, and in adult females between 165 and 255 Hz. The tones produced are known as fundamental frequencies, and a fundamental frequency could be defined as the lowest frequency of a repeating waveform. This is where things get interesting and confusing. When you listen to human speech, you hear frequencies, and a fundamental frequency could be defined as the
okay. Lame, but it's better. That's what's important right there, is to oh. What in the world is this? What kind of weird... Okay, it's gotten in some weird mode here. I didn't even see that happen. View? Oh, timeline mode. Man.
produced are known as
Man, that was really weird. Okay.
and a fundamental frequency could be defined as the lowest frequency of a repeating waveform. This is where things get interesting and confusing. When you listen to human speech, frequencies well outside your fundamental frequency range.
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to work much better. That's at least on topic. I feel better about that. Yeah, that's better. Okay. And then what I need is human hearing range. Sorry that's so loud on the typing. What in the world is this picture? Oh. What is this? This is actually a cool picture to save. I'm going to save that to my sound speeds folder. Warning. SPL. It's not a graph, it's just a picture. Yeah, it is. I could disable the compressor. Actually, wait a minute. Compressor's not up. Nope, compressor's not up at all. What you're probably hearing is my gate. If I bypass, you hear all the background noise there. That's the air conditioning system. But I'm not going to do that. Huh. It does bring my volume up a little bit if I don't have it engaged. I think it's because the DBX286X is, if I have it bypassed, it just passes through the signal, and I have the mix preset to one audio level, and then I actually use the DBX as a preamp. So okay, human hearing. What in the world is that? Oh, that's a cool chart. That's a cute little picture. It's pretty ugly, but it'll work. Harmonics. Let's see. I'll just call it cute pic. It doesn't matter. Yeah. Let me look at it. Yeah, I hit it. It didn't pop up. It may be a file I have already. Would you mind emailing it to me at soundspeeds at Yahoo? Because I'll look at it right now. Unless this thing has a way to... Let me see. Yeah, yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, if you wouldn't mind getting that link, that'd be awesome. Hey there, good morning there. From across the pond, you have no idea how mad I was when England... I'm not even going to say it.
Interesting and confusing. When you listen to human speech, you hear frequencies well outside your fundamental frequency range. This is because the human voice is rich in overtones. To explain overtones, let's consider a 100 hertz tone
Try posting the actual link in here. Let's see what happens. Because... Wait a minute, I'll just do this. Yeah, I have a similar version of this. But yeah, I'll say this as a thing also to use as a reference too for sound speeds. Yeah. Okay, let me get back into the edit and let me listen to this. I may need to see if I can find a setting to change that.
When you listen to human speech, you hear frequencies well outside your fundamental frequency range. This is because the human voice is rich in overtones. To explain overtones, let's consider a 100 hertz tone as a fundamental frequency for this example. If you multiply 100 hertz by a whole number like 2, 3, 4, or 5, you'll get a frequency that fits perfectly within a 100 hertz wavelength that many number of times.
Okay. So if Colossus 2, I'm just basically editing tomorrow's episode right now. That's all we're doing. Nothing overly thrilling and exciting, but it's fun. Oh no, don't hit that. Oh, garbage. Well, luckily it turned out all right. We're getting close. Okay. We will save this now as the same exact thing, but with a A. Awesome. Let's now import in harmonic 2A. So let me listen.
Outside your fundamental frequency range. This is because the human voice is rich in overtones. To explain overtones, let's consider a 100 hertz tone as a fundamental frequency for this example. If you multiply 100 hertz by a whole number like 2, 3, 4, or 5, you'll get a frequency that fits perfectly within a 100 hertz wavelength that
Yeah, now we're ready for this. I like this picture.
Consider a 100 hertz tone as a fundamental frequency for this example. If you multiply 100 hertz by a whole number like 2, 3,
Wait a minute.
fundamental is the lowest and first harmonic. The second harmonic would be anytime you double or first harmonic. The fundamental
Oh, that's right, because I say let's go to Google. So I'm not ready for that yet.
a 100 hertz tone as a fundamental frequency for this example. If you multiply 100 hertz by a whole number like 2, 3,
So loud. Sorry.
four, or 5, you'll get a frequency that fits perfectly.
Yeah. Yeah. I actually did that. I tried to do that earlier and I totally botched it up. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to fill it. But yeah, you're right. I actually do know that trick. I just not processing it right now.
Tone as a fundamental frequency for this example. If you multiply 100 hertz by a whole number like 2, 3, 4, or 5, you'll get a frequency that fits perfectly within a 100 hertz wavelength that many number of times. A 200 hertz wavelength that many number of times. A 200 hertz tone will fit perfectly within a 100 hertz wavelength twice, and a 300 hertz tone will fit perfectly and a 300 hertz tone will fit perfectly 3 times, and so forth. 100 hertz wavelength twice, and a 100 hertz wavelength that many number of times. A 200 hertz tone will fit perfectly within a 100 hertz wavelength twice, and a 300 hertz tone will fit perfectly hertz wavelength that many number of times. A 200 hertz tone will fit perfectly within a 100 hertz wavelength twice, and a 300 hertz tone will fit perfectly 3 times, and so forth. The fundamental frequency, or fundamental, is the lowest and loudest frequency. 100 hertz tone as a fundamental frequency for this example. If you multiply 100 hertz by a whole number like 2, 3, consider a 100 hertz tone as a fundamental frequency for this example. If you multiply 100 hertz by a whole number like 2, 3,
Okay. That's actually spot on to what I'm talking about. So I'm just going to take that as a don't want to do that. Do I want to do that, or do I want to use this? No, that's what I'm using for my graphic. I can't do that. And that, let me think.
100 hertz tone as a fundamental frequency for this example. If you multiply 100 hertz by a whole number like 2, 3, 4, or 5, you'll get a frequency that fits perfectly within a 100 hertz wavelength that many number of times.
Why in the world is that even in there? That's not supposed to be here either. Yeah. Keyboard is good, it's just loud. I do have a shock mount in my microphone, but it's not enough to keep it from sounding loud and really annoying.
Tones, let's consider a 100 hertz tone as a fundamental frequency for this example.
You know what? It is spot on to it. I keep leaving it and coming back. I'm going to go ahead and just do it. Use it. Right there. There's one limitation of this editing program that I do not like. Vegas is smoother at this. Okay. Let me try that.
Overtones, let's consider a 100 hertz tone as a fundamental frequency for this example. If you multiply 100 hertz by a whole number like 2,
Okay. Let's see how that worked.
overtones, let's consider a 100 hertz tone as a fundamental frequency for this example. If you multiply 100 hertz by a whole number like 2, 3, 4, or 5, you'll get a frequency that fits perfectly within a 100 hertz wavelength that many number of times. A 200 hertz tone will
Oh, that was really weird. Come on now.
length that many number of
Nope, that's wrong.
a 100 hertz wavelength that many number of times. A 200 hertz tone will fit perfectly within a 100 hertz wavelength twice, and a 300 hertz tone will fit perfectly 3 times, and so forth. The fundamental frequency, or fundamental, is the lowest and loudest frequency, and anything above it that is an even multiplier is an overtone. Overtones and fundamentals together make up a harmonic series.
Okay, now we're starting to get into the fun. Actually, wait a second. What is it? 7. Extend that up to there. Because that picture is actually very much worthwhile. This one here, you mean? The reason I did is because it's talking about the part that I zoomed in on is talking perfectly about what I'm talking about with the fundamental frequency 100 hertz. It talks about all of those frequencies and shows different things. So if you don't follow what I'm saying, you can at least visually see the multiplication right there because it goes exactly with what I'm talking about.
Multiply 100 hertz by a whole number
100,
like 2, 3, 4, or 5. You'll get a frequency that fits perfectly within a 100 hertz wavelength that many number of times.
And
A
then I go
200
into
hertz
this.
tone will fit perfectly within a 100 hertz wavelength twice, and a 300 hertz tone will fit perfectly 3 times, and so forth. The fundamental frequency, or fundamental, is the lowest and loudest frequency, and anything above it that is an even multiplier is an overtone. Overtones and fundamentals together make up.
Okay. There we go. Now we're ready for this. Let me see something.
That is an even multiplier is an overtone. Overtones and fundamentals.
It actually is at the top of the frame. I'll show you what I mean. When I go out all the way, look, it's up at the top. Oh, but I see what you mean. I can do that also. Yeah, I see exactly what you're talking about. But I will also overlay it just because it's simple, easy. And might as well.
Example, if you multiply 100 hertz by a whole number.
Nope. That whole thing. Well, that was the correct duration. Okay, well. Okay, let me check it again.
in overtones. To explain overtones, let's consider a 100 Hz tone as a fundamental frequency for this example. If you multiply 100 Hz by a whole number like 2, 3, 4, or 5, you'll get a frequency that fits perfectly within a 100 Hz wavelength that many number of times. A 200 Hz
Yeah, and then what I'll do is I have this down there. You see, for more informational fundamental frequencies and harmonics, right there. Either way, it still applies, right, Andrew? 257. We'll call it 257. Okay.
To explain overtones, let's consider a 100 Hz tone as a fundamental frequency for this example. If you multiply 100 Hz by a whole number like 2, 3, 4, or 5, you'll get a frequency that fits perfectly within a 100 Hz wavelength that many number of times. A 200 Hz tone will fit perfectly within a 100 Hz wavelength twice, and a 300 Hz tone will fit perfectly 3 times, and so forth. The fundamental frequency, or fundamental, is the lowest and loudest frequency, and anything above it that is an even multiplier is an overtone. Overtones and fundamentals together make up a harmonic series. The fundamental is considered the first harmonic. The second harmonic would be twice the frequency, the third harmonic 3 times, etc. Overtones are
Okay, there we go.
multiplier is an overtone. Overtones and fundamentals together make up a harmonic series. The fundamental is considered the first harmonic. The second harmonic would be twice the frequency, the third harmonic 3 times, etc. Overtones are naturally produced from fundamental tones, but they don't carry the same amount of energy, so
Okay. It does sound really bad. See, that's beating a dead horse there. I could do the same thing again. But no, I like... No. Actually, I like that a lot. Because that really shows it. Save image as. Okay. Gotta remember what I just called that thing. Ended with a number. Ended with like 34 or something. Where is it? Don't. Hey, I know I just say, oh. Wait a second. Did I save it to the wrong place? I think I did. Mm-hmm. Sure did. No wonder it's gone. Okay. That's what I was thinking. I thought it ended in 32 or something. There we go. That picture is really cool.
From fundamental tone harmonic. The second harmonic would be twice the frequency, the third harmonic 3 times, etc. Overtones are naturally produced from fundamental tones, but they don't carry the same amount of energy, so they won't be as loud. Also note, anytime you double or cut in half any frequency, you're going to go up or down 1 octave. To help you visualize, let Google help us out.
Good. Almost ready. Please, please, please. Let me see. Frequency octave. No, 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 no. That's not good. That's funny. Octave chart. Ooh, that could be good. Oh, yeah. Almost. Oh, that's pretty. That's pretty right there. Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah, that's good. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Note freak. All right. Just about ready to get into the fun thing. Note freak.
Also note, anytime you double or cut in half any frequency, you're going to go up or down 1 octave. To help you visualize, let Google help us out. I'll go to
Perfect. I'm going to save right there, and I'm about to get into the fun part. This is the part that I'm really most excited about. Where is it? 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 Ah, where's my video? My video. There we go.
generator. I like the way this Sinalski tone generator is laid out, so we'll use all the way up as high as 4,000 Hz in some circumstances. Women can extend this frequency range all the way up to 17,000 Hz through harmonics. There are many harmonics present together in the tones. If I adjust listening 400 Hz and notice they are 100 Hz apart, if you listen closely and know what you're listening for, you'll hear at least some of the other harmonics. If I adjust the tone being women can extend this frequency There are many harmonics present with every tone we speak, or to take sounds your ear 1,000 hertz generate. So strong that Vox and Go span is free, and I'll put play a 100 hertz tone. Vox and Go span shows a 100 hertz tone so strong that it's blasting off my meter. Look at all those little peaks beside it though. Those are natural overtones for 100 hertz, and notice they are circumstances. Women can extend this frequency range all the way up to 17,000 hertz through harmonics. There are many harmonics present with every tone we speak or
Come on,
sing,
show the
which is
thing.
one reason why recording the human voice can present so many challenges. When you first
What is going on?
in some circumstances.
It's incredibly annoying. All I'm looking for is the part that. Why are you. What is your deal?
Throwing
Man.
together compatible components to make a working microphone was not enough to make it sound as good as a properly engineered microphone 20 times its cost. While it's possible to boost and cut frequencies to make a cheap
Okay.
tweaking EQ for a vocal.
What resolution is this thing? Why is it acting up? That's not even very big. That is just, it's going so slow. It's illogical why it's going so slow. I'm going to close it down. After it's done saving, I'm going to close it and reopen it. See if I can make this thing cooperate. Look at that glitching. It's like, what are you doing? Stop doing that. gonna actually open? Sure, come on now. Turn the resolution down even more. See what happens. Okay.
Google and I'll search for an online tone generator. I like the way this Sinalski tone generator is laid out. Google and I'll search.
Man, why are you going so slow? Normally this thing just powers through everything. There's no issue. This is crazy. I hate to say it. I may have to call the stream just because I have to restart. I've had the computer on for a few days, so I may need to actually restart it. So, may end up having to do it. Sorry about that. Anyway, take care. Thanks for popping in here tonight and watching. And 9 a.m. tomorrow, this video will be live. That's Eastern time, so it's like 7 hours from now. Anyway, take care.